revocation, for some of these discos should come to bear. Now, the departure of 767 manufacturers from Nigeria in 2023, citing power issues amongst other things, also becomes another huge blow to the economic impact of an unreliable power supply, right? Tony Alubalu has also come out to advocate for comprehensive restructuring of the sector, and he emphasized the issues and inadequate infrastructure hindering the growth of the sector. Now, there is institutional decay. Yes, there is institutional decay when sees overseeing the discos, and it indicates a failure in accountability. It also indicates a failure in enforcement. Now, Abia State's success in distributing its own power serves somewhat as a potential model for other states. But would we see that coming a bear? Would we see that coming, to fruition? Are other states beginning to plan this process to ensuring that within a space of maybe a year or two, or at most 3, that these states can indeed begin to boast of some stability in terms of power, and which we well know would be very visible in manufacturing industries here and there and production. So that's what we are also looking at to seeing. But then rising fuel prices, the multiple taxation, and even the foreign exchange crisis exacerbates challenges for businesses in lieu of the power sector as well. And there has been some thoughts about diversifying power generation through renewable resources, and grid modernization proposed as solutions to Nigeria's power crisis. But then let's get in touch with our guest as we have this conversation at the moment, as some questions are beginning to rise, from the entire process. Some of those questions would also, border around how can corruption within the power sector be effectively, addressed, especially when considering its deep-rooted nature within the system. And then there will be also thoughts about what specific measures can be taken to improve technical expertise, especially within the privatized, power sector, and taking a look at how can discos be held more accountable, for their performance and service delivery, because we've also seen over time where there has been some hike in power, tariff, even without the knowledge of consumers, and that has been unacceptable too. How do you increase or hike price in power when you're not even delivering the service to the people? It's almost as though you're shortchanging, the people. And then the issue of strategy implementation is also very, very important. How can it prevent the deterioration of power supply amidst the ongoing challenges that we face in the country? And then how can the government attract, more investment into the power sector to address infrastructure deficiencies? And you might also want to consider what roles the international partnerships can play in revitalizing, Nigeria's power sector, and how can the institutional decay, maybe within the oversight agencies, be addressed to improving sector governance. And we might also want to consider some other, things that border around what steps can be taken to ensure the success of, initiatives much more like or similar to that of the Abia, to that of the Abia, State's integrated electricity, facility right there. Now, how can the government also alleviate the economic burden on businesses and consumers caused by, power issues? And you might also consider questions that border around what specific actions can be taken to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy sources in Nigeria, as many countries of the world are beginning to look at the diversification and looking at the green energy and looking at proposing measures to ensuring that we have a safer, environment and society. But then, what ways can be taken to improving the power sector in itself? What are the ways that we could, improve the power sector in itself in the face of what we are experiencing today? Now, many have believed that if we are able to solve the issue or the challenge of power in that of what we are facing, of the challenges that we face and the difficulties that we face. And this also goes ahead to smearing into the insecurity issues. I mean, if we had a power that is well powered and well operated, not with archaic implements and equipment, then we might find, to put some light into darkened paths. And that way, insecurity will be curbed, and we wouldn't have to go through, some of the very harsh hurdles that we are, trying to go through in facing the challenge of power sector in Nigeria. Just recently, too, we've also had the Minister, of Power coming out to saying, having a meeting with, the TCN, the DISCOs, the GENCOs, and all of that, to finding a means to ending or bringing to an end the power situation that we face in the country. And they've also come with their excuses. Some of them, like the TCN, had said that the major problem for them has been the vandalization of some of their, power plants. And we've had the issue of lack of distribution companies to, distribute, the necessary power that is needed for the society, saying that the GENCOs have not given enough power for them to distribute, as they've cited that as challenges. And quite a number of excuses have come to bear. But then it should also be very noteworthy the fact that over 60 years, Nigeria has been plagued with power, corruption issues, and all of that. And it is not really finding, a good status with Nigerians, especially in a time when a lot is expected during this period, especially when Nigerians are hoping to have, power supply, especially in the midst of some of these hurdles that we've had to face as a country. Just recently, was it last week, we had the story of some persons who passed on as a result of meningitis issues, and of course it is also attributed to the heat and everything. But let's get involved with our guest, who's joining us via phone call. Welcome aboard, Mr. Benedict Olalekon Agunloye. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, feels good to have a conversation with you again today, right? So you're
welcome.
Yeah, we're looking at the powering Nigeria, the challenges and solutions, and as well as the road to a brighter future, right? It is no news the fact that we've had the Minister of Power as called the TCN and the various stakeholders to seeing how we can come out of the woods in view of the epileptic or even the no power supply, the power situation that we find in Nigeria. We've also heard, from the transmission company of Nigeria, who have also said they're bade, giving their voice to what and why we are having this dwindling, power situation in Nigeria. What do you make of the entire meeting, and what do you think, is really the bane of the experience that we face in the power sector in Nigeria?
You see, the things are simple. The things are simple, right? Like I said yesterday, we seem to have the same problem everywhere.
Right.
And that problem is trying to address the effect rather than identifying the cause and removing them. Right? Now, in a lot of places, we are paying for inefficiencies. If we are to look at power, people talk about, oh, this is how much South Africa is generating, this is how much Egypt is generating. But the question is that if you give a day-old baby feeding bottle filled with fresh milk, can the baby actually make benefit of it? The answer is no, because the baby cannot hold the feeding bottle on its own. Now, do we know our consumption requirement as of today? The answer is no. The absolute answer is no. Why? Because the discourse are not there. Now, as of today, maybe we'll start from the distribution end. Now, my grandfather used to say this: if you don't have a storage tank and you pay the rainmaker, and the rainmaker makes rain for you, 30 minutes after, you will still start looking for the water to drink. Do you get that? And power generation is like rain. If you generate it and you don't use it, it is wasted. Do you understand that?
Right.
So I think that it is wrong for us to start comparing our power generation with anybody. We should be looking at our distribution capacity. As of today, the lines belong to the discos. Are they maintaining their lines? Let's take a tour of Abuja, not even the villages now, and we suppose that have been resting on people's fence for more than 3 years, and the discos are AEDC have not bothered to lift them away from the fence or to balance them. You see cables that touch and are sparking every night and are giving feedback to the transformers. Those cables have not been made to stay separately. These are simple maintenance that discos should do, but they are not even doing it.
But in terms
now,
of
a lot of people are paying.
In terms of such maintenance, right? Many consumers have said that many times, rather than the discos to run this maintenance, they've put the burden on the consumers themselves, saying if you don't do it, if you don't pay for us to do it, then we will not do it. Now it brings to the question of who indeed should handle such maintenance.
Well, this thing is simple. The lines belong to discos. Even if I bought the pole and I bought the cables, the day they are installed, the property of the disco. Okay. So it is the duty of the disco to ensure that they are maintained. Now, if we cannot make them if the regulators cannot make them maintain it, then we are not ready to have power. So line maintenance, that's one. The other thing is transformers. Transformers are disco's properties, but it is the consumers in most cases that are buying this. Yes, disco will tell you, we are not saying you should buy, but we don't have it on ground. Now, until there is a regulation from the regulator that says, if you keep these people without power for 1 week, this is the penalty. Until there is a penalty for discos to ensure that the lines and the transformers are replaced within a specific time, then you expect that discos will continue to be irresponsible in that area. And of course, I said people were paying for darkness. You ask me how? Estimated billing. Whether there is light or not, people who are on estimated billing continue to pay monthly. And so for me, they are paying for darkness. There are also breach of trust. I'm put in a band that assumed the area where I live has 19 to 21 hours supply of power 3 years ago. But the reality is that in the last 2 years, we've had less than 12 hours, but we are still in the same band.
All right, let's talk about accountability. Sorry to cut you. Let's just talk about accountability. Now, some of these discos have continued to operate with some levels of impunity, but we've also had reports of transmission lines being vandalized. Right, protecting our critical national infrastructure. Under whose purview does it fall under? Who should be held accountable?
National infrastructure.
Right.
If it's now for critical infrastructure,
yes,
I think that our security architecture, they fall under the responsibility of the civil defense to protect. That is for vandalization. It's civil defense duty to protect infrastructure, and it should be the DISCO, the transmission company of Nigeria, working with them to ensure that these lines are monitored, and if there are breaches, reports can quickly come to the right place.
So have we not come to the point when talking about power, situation or the power sector in Nigeria, where we can say that, as some are also saying, that the government should declare a state of emergency in power?
It's not about, you see, one thing about us is we like cliches. State of emergency on anything is a cliche. Okay. You don't run society like ours by cliches. You run it by practical things. Like I have said, take the DISCO as DISCOs. Give them a deadline to provide meters for the people. Let there be penalties for non-replacement of transformers when they are blown. Let there be penalty for non-attending to line issues that are endangering the life of the citizen. When those three things are in place, you can now look at if there are energy theft as they claim, that will now be easy to trace. But when you have not given people meter, when you have not corrected your line, those two, you cannot account for them correctly. Then saying they are stealing or you want to pursue thieves won't work. But if your lines are right, your transformers are in place, the users have meters, then you can control and monitor the thieves. That's for DISCOs. Obviously, for TCN, they claim are moribund and they are expanding. But what do you think? What do I think is our way forward there? Thank God the Buhari regime gave us opportunity for off-grid to get themselves right. And until DISCOs demonstrate better responsibility, if government had money, government money in power should be invested in off-grids.
Right.
Off-grid, as in this is a village. Put them on power, put them on a local hydro, or even give them stand-alone, and then they can maintain themselves. See, there are ACs that run on DC that you don't even need any converter. A direct solar item will give you the power. There are refrigerators that run on DC. There are a lot of DC compressors, and this you can make people invest in which case a number of people will not even need to go to the national grid for them to survive.
All right, let's talk capacity. Let's talk capacity, right? Now, despite the efforts of the federal government and even others to improve, performance in the power sector, Nigeria's power generation has dropped by 14% month on month. That's to 3,475 megawatts in March of 2024. From 4,043 megawatts in February of 2024 due to prolonged problems, especially limited funding, low investment, inadequate capacity to generate and transmit as well as distribute adequate and stable supply to consumers. Now, let's talk data that has been obtained from the National System Operator, which is a unit in the Transmission Company of Nigeria, that's the TCN, has indicated that except for occasional attainment of 5,000 megawatts, supply still remains relatively low, and that has impacted negatively households and businesses nationwide. But then the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has stated that power sector is in the crisis and that the government is trying its best to bring normalcy to it. Now, what do you make of this? Because the minister has come out to saying that we should have some patience that the ministry is looking into tackling the power crisis and all of that?
You have what you could call the Kaaba factor in every of our sectors. And so they will do what they think is in their best interest. I've heard someone insisting that until they are able to, their plans for manufacturing meters locally are ready, government should not venture into importing meters. My answer had always on that be no. Develop your capacity to produce meters. When you begin to produce, we can stop importation. But right now there is a gap. Meter the people. Right? If we need to import. It's not like you are importing to give it to them for free. The people are paying for this meter. So get the meter, give it to the people, collect your money. If anybody is to manufacture, when what you manufacture is ready, we go in. We came in the last time, subsidy was removed. Some people were insisting we should go and do CNG conversion and do CNG this. What happens to electric cars and electric tricycles? Couldn't that in the short run, you bring that in, you don't need any conversion. Is it not? But what have we done with that? Nobody is talking about that in the public space. We are only hammering on CNG conversion. Why? Because some individuals think they have a head and they can charge whatever they like to ensure that the conversion is done. So when we come to the power sector, like I said, at the immediate, there is the National Rural Electrification Scheme. They should focus more on off-grid.
All right.
Let the state governments work with partners on mini grids. Why you leave the discos, the gencos, and TCN? We cannot wait until discos, genco, and TCN solve their problem before we survive. And you know that if you already have an off-grid in place and people are enjoying it, they will not be in position to go and buy transformer for NEPA or for. If a disco wants to come into that community, the disco will come and install its own transformer, put its line in place, and then convince these people why they should transit, right, from depending only on their off-grid to begin to enjoy what
all right.
in the hands of discos and gencos and TCN,
yes,
the people will continue to suffer.
All right.
So we need to begin to make provision for alternatives that will force these people to move.
Okay. Let's
and
just
to become creative.
Yeah, let's go pay some bills. When we come back, we would enter the conversation still and open the phone line so that Nigerians can also be a part of the conversation. All right, keep in mind that this is the Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. We'll go pay some bills now. We'll be right back.
Offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
You are here right now.
Your miracle is here. Just believe and receive. Breaking news. The healing streams are flowing again, and your testimony is next as we anticipate the Healing Streams live healing services with Pastor Chris, holding from
Friday 15th to Sunday 17th March 2024
by 3 p.m. daily. Register now and view the program at
www.healingstreams.tv/zone/ABMC.
You can also participate live at Christ Embassy Durumi near American International School or at the nearest Christ Embassy church to you. Also at any of our designated healing centers all around town. Also airing live here in Abuja on Rhythm 94.7 FM and Eagles 102.3 FM. Watch out for more stations. Call or text 0908-748-6039 or 0908-013-2436.
Friday 15th to Sunday 17th March 2024.
3 p.m. daily. Your set time for a miracle. Don't miss it.
Eagles 102.3.
Please listen to this announcement. Farex Borehole. We are competent. We are committed. We simplify borehole for your borehole survey, for your borehole drilling, or 080-3596-5170. 080-3596-5170. You can visit our office at Goshen Plaza. Please listen. Listen to this announcement. Media House in Abuja is looking for media marketers to join their team. Requirements: minimum of 3 years experience in media marketing. Send your CV to 08095359008. 08095359008. Announcer Management.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
You're tuned in and locked on to Eagles 102.3 FM, your radio experience that you can count on. And we're still talking matters that concern powering Nigeria, the challenges, the solutions, and the road to a brighter future. Our guest is still on call in the person of Benedict Olalekun Agunloye. Is an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst. Now, the conversation is still trending. You can also be a part of the conversation. Join the conversation via the studio numbers 0907 353 0044 or 0908-766-8888. The WhatsApp portal number is open for your WhatsApp message, and it will be 0909-705-4450. Let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Yeah, Moses.
All right, Moses, welcome aboard. Where are you calling from, though?
I want to compliment your guest over there. Because he made one preamble message before he started that we are saying that is instead of life. Yeah, I think that statement is what each and every individual are facing. I remember those years before you can take life, there is an information you give to Nigerians. I don't know whether you witnessed them. You can't just take life. There must be an information that there's going to be a repair during NEPA, that from this hour to social hour there's going to be interruption of light. But now, nothing like that. To tell you that the major challenge and the factors that led to what we are facing today is what I'm about to mention. Number one is corruption. Corruption has put it into the system that is affecting the whole areas of our system. Look at it. And second one is accountability. It was the corruption that led to this accountability. Nobody can be held responsible to give account on what is happening on our power sector. How much are they generating every year? What is their expenditure? You can't tell me that money that you receive from companies, from individuals, you can't give an account to put the issue of power in order. Another thing again is lack of maintenance. That is another challenge. You are expecting the people who you are servicing them. It's uncalled for. Look at the MTN network and other these things. They can't come and charge their customers to come and put their mask in order when they have problem with their mask. Is that not so? So as far as there is, yes, and because they want to serve their customers. If these people have Nigerian at heart, they will have Nigeria at heart. I know that this mess will not go through it. So they should take example from the network providers. Is that not so? Right. When any of their equipment get problem, they will make sure necessarily to put it in order. But look at our own today. You will be the one to pay for transformer. You will be the one to pay for phone affair. Imagine, even meters, you pay for meter. Look at the excess bills that they give. So government should set a body to investigate these power sectors. It is because of the private sectors to put the light in order. That is why they take it from NEPA.
Oh, Moses, right there. You were given salient, thoughts right there. Well, do well to call back, and you could also reach us via the number 0907-353-0044. Still have our guest in the studio via voice, I'd like to say. And, of course, he's Benedict Olalekun Agunloye. Benedict, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
So you've heard what Moses said. What's your reaction to that?
Well, he's still in order. Like I said, yes, he's talking about corruption. But I think that, like I said, we are a cliche nation. I don't believe in cliches. What is the corruption in the system? the fact that I'm paying for darkness, right? Estimated billing is paying for darkness. Buying transformer is fetching water from your well to pour into an ocean. Discos are supposed to have enough capacity to do those things. So if the individuals are struggling to rake 1,000, 10,000 to get those jobs done for discos, it's actually inefficiency. There is, of course, the place of the regulators, in my opinion, not doing the needful. It's not sufficient to tell people not to buy transformer. You should also be able to tell discos, if a transformer goes down, you have X number of days to replace it. Otherwise, you are subject to this daily fine until the situation is rectified.
Right.
If that is not in place, then they can continue to put the community into ransom in perpetuity. You go there, they tell you, we will bring the cable, but it's not available now. When we have it, we will bring it. Right? That is, now for you in the community, you don't want to wait for a whole month or 2 months for them to bring it. But if there is a law that says, at the end of 2 weeks, if this thing is not done, this is the sanction on the disco. So I think we still have issues with regulation.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's put a peg to your thoughts and just take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. What's your name, please?
Please, my name is John, calling from Suleja.
All right, John, welcome aboard. Let's have your take.
Please, that your guest honestly excited me this morning with his all his analysis. So what I'm trying to say is this. Talking about transformer. Our transformer, like as we speak now, in this place for 2 months now, we are broke down. Nobody's talking about it. No serious effort from the NEPA. And if they all they are saying us, just like our neighbors, when their transformer broke down, they say they are bringing it. They want to, if you are in a hurry, go and look for a solution to repair it. But for us, we are made a request. And now because they stayed up to 6 good months. But when I can remember when they want to privatize this from NEPA to other private companies.
Right.
All the agreement is that all the agreement was all the wires, you're going to change some of them, just like the guest has mentioned. We are going to all the wooden pole, we are going to take it to concrete. That was the agreement of between the federal government and those who are taking over. And up to today, so many areas needed transformers, so many areas, not only in Suleja, but other places you can think of. You see wire coming down to the level where a trailer cannot even pass. Nobody cares. Nobody is saying anything. But what I'm trying to say is there no regulators who are monitoring these people to say them what to do and what not to do? Why is it that everybody that comes in Nigeria have a free right? Anything you like to do, and they keep increasing light bill, keep on increasing, extorting people, just like that. That man was honestly, he just understand the whole thing. They are against there.
Right.
Every month they come up with new bill, extorting people, new bill, increasing bill.
Okay.
But you cannot reflect on what they are doing with this country. I don't understand. Let people monitor these people now. They don't know what to do. And for me, in conclusion, I believe that these people are not capable of handling this issue of power in Nigeria.
Right. Okay, thank you so much right there. James has had to say. Mr. Benedict, what's your take on this? I mean, there has been talks about, I know that you mentioned corruption as, in the place of Nigerians having to pay for power, for darkness, right? But some are coming from the angle that the very process that institutionalized some of these, agencies has been flawed by corruption. And during the Obasanjo, regime, you remember there was a $16 billion that was allegedly funneled into corrupt practices, and even subsequent administrations, however, have also lacked the capacity to investigate, these claims. And we've seen that go through from that period to now. In fact, some are saying that there is a need for a total overhaul of the power sector, that the hands that are on it are not expertise enough to handle it. What's your take on it?
Well, like I said, my roadmap is simple.
Okay.
Right? Go for off-grid. We cannot keep the people in darkness in the name of probing and pursuing probes.
All right. So
that
ensure
that the new funding that are coming.
Yeah. So that we can understand you perfectly. For some who may not understand, what exactly do you mean by off-grid?
Okay. When we say off-grid,
yes,
it is that you are putting the standalone. It can be maybe in a compound. You could have a central solar grid.
Okay.
There are environments where you have waterheads that are high enough for hydro, right? I'm talking about renewable energy that does not require. Right?
Yeah.
Do an off-grid generation. This, you get to this village, there are 10 barbing saloon. Give each of the 10 barbing saloon what they need to survive without AEDC, without any disco.
Oh, okay.
If a disco now wants to come into that community, right? He already met the people using something. He will now have to offer them a better service.
Okay.
Accept him.
Yeah.
So rather than the public fund going into discos and gencos and TCN, let it go to empowering individuals, especially in the villages and the environment where the TCN services are not currently available.
Okay.
And I know there is also a like we just have in Abia, state governments are now permitted to generate and distribute power. So it is for them to also go and look for partners who can do that in some of their commercial centers. And like I said, it is already time for us to have investment in DC motors. We're talking about DC compressors. So I necessarily do not need a converter or need an AC current to run the air conditioner or the freezer. People are doing that in Asia. And we have people with money who can invest in these things. So if the focus is on doing it, we already have the market. Over 200 million people is a big thing, right? We deal with household. So for me, therefore, rather than waste energy in pursuing a rat that has escaped, when you are sure there is still one in the hole, first of all, stay, arrest the one in the hole, and know you have it before you start thinking of what to do to the one that is already running wild.
Okay. All right. Well, still the conversation right here as the Eagles Outlook. You can add your voice via the studio number 0907-353-0044 or 0908-766-8888. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes. Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm hearing you. My name is Mr. Joff. I'm calling you from Kamnaro.
All right. Let's have your take.
Yeah. I've already heard from your judge. I've already give us the analysis. Tell us what to do and what to not do. But what is that what brings everything down is because of corruption. Understand? Now, as I'm talking to you now, almost more than 1 week, we doesn't have light. And never going around is collecting. Everybody has to pay. And no light. And they're collecting money. I understand? And sometimes they'll just bring it for almost 1 hour, 2 hours. And when you see land from your neighbor, he doesn't have it, you see one kind. So that's so they're intimidating us. They have to do, better government have to do something. Those companies that are holding this line are not doing well. I understand? Are you hearing me, sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Doing well. They're not doing well at all. They're not doing well. Those companies that are handling our land in Nigeria, they're not doing well. And the federal government that they know are not doing well. They're supposed to, they're supposed to do something over it. Everywhere we are crying. Matches are crying. In fuel we are crying. In anything we are crying. In security we are crying. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John, for your take. All right, Mr. Benedict. You heard from Mr. John right there. He's saying that, corruption is still the bane of it, and that if the federal government sees the power, sector at the moment is not, performing, there should be a change. But then, what do you think are the critical, solutions that we can begin to look at, to ensuring that we got it right this time? Hello? Can you hear me? All right, we'll get...
Hello?
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, well, we were talking about solutions, to what can be done in the power sector. But before you jump into the solution, right, the Minister of Power had said that the federal government is targeting to increase power generation to 6,500 megawatts from the current 4,500 megawatts. And even though he has said that there's been poor performance from the electric distribution companies, he had also went on to promising sanctions to be meted out to underperforming discos in this regard, right? But there's one thing that the minister had said that I want you to also, add your voice to. He had said that the ministry is making plans to balkanize the coverage of some of the discos, so that it will enable them or enable communities not to serve to be taken over by other companies, right? It's saying it's going to balkanize the coverage area of some of the discos to enable communities not served to be taken over by other companies. What is your thought on this as you give us what you feel could be the way out of this, squabble?
Well, redesigning territories can be a way of ensuring a more effect. That I quite agree. It's a narrow start for someone to cover from Abuja to Nasarawa to Kogi and stuff like that. So you might say reducing the coverage for the disco. Yes. But for me, I always don't want to hear people talk about generation, right?
Okay.
Why don't I want to hear us talking about generation 6,500, 13,000, 20,000? Is the fact that until you are giving a child one biscuit every day, you are now talking about increasing it to 2, or you want to give him 20. No. You first of all need to be sure what is this child able to consume?
Okay.
The 4,000 we are generating today, are we distributing it effectively? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
Are the transformers working? Are the lines in order? Have you provided meter for the people? Are people not paying for darkness? First of all, ensure that the effectiveness is in place. When you are sure the people are not paying for darkness, you are sure that the transformers are there, then you are sure that you have fixed the transmission line, then you know that when you generate and you feed them into the grid, they will get to their destination. But when you don't do that, like I said at the beginning, my grandfather called it a wrong approach, that you don't have a reservoir to retain water, but you are paying for rainmaker. 30 minutes rain, you will still be looking for the water to drink, right? Generation is like rain. So if you don't have the transmission system in place and you don't have the distribution networks perfected, you may eventually generate excess and it waste. 3-4 years back, we heard at some point when Gensco said, we are generating now, discos are not willing to do what?
That's right.
To receive it. Because discos are also saying we don't have Is it they don't have market, or the TCN is not willing the power to the places where they need it, right? So it shouldn't be after you have generated that you are now talking about willing. No, you should have known where you need the power.
Okay.
I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, misplacement.
You should have known where you need the power before you start talking about generating. So all the talk always about generating this, I don't want to hear the number of megawatts.
Okay.
End. Meter the people, fix the marketing.
All right, meter the people, fix the marketing right there, and that is what I guess they're saying. Are you there?
They should do marketing.
Okay.
So you know that, okay, your own job is to collect money. But if you come to me and if my transformer is, know that you cannot get money, is it not? So you are in the office, so it becomes an issue between the marketing company and the discos to ensure that the people are metered, the transformers are working, and the distribution lines are in place. Because distribution lines does not belong to TCN. It is transmission line that belongs to TCN.
Okay.
So if they will be more effective, I think that will come to place. Separate marketing from distribution, right? And give them timelines. Let there be sanctions. That's the primary solution. If a transformer is down and it did need repairs, that does not need spares, how many hours are you giving discos to do that?
All right. Well, I want to say a big thank you to you. I mean, would have loved to go further.
How many days you giving them?
Yeah.
So if those are not in place, I think we are just talking rhetoric, and we'll go back to where we start without getting any serious results.
Well, Nigerians wouldn't want us to go back to where we started from. Yeah, Nigerians wouldn't want us to go back to where we started from. And like you have said, it is important, to take heed, to know your priorities before even getting into the entire process. But thank you so much, Mr. Benedict, for joining the conversation today. It's been very, very expository. Thank you for adding your voice to it, Mr. Benedict Olalikon Agunloye.
You're welcome.
Appreciate. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you.
That's right. And this is where we'll be calling it a close, on the Eagles Outlook today. Thank you, James, John. Thank you for Moses, for bringing your voice and adding it in the conversation. And we are hoping that, as the minister said, that with what they have planned to do, that there should be some a scheme that would launch the acceleration of meter acquisition by providing 2 million meters annually. It's not just going to be mere rhetoric, that it will indeed come into fruition, such that it will affect the very core of existence, as it has to do with the average Nigerian, and that we begin to see a change in the power sector, because it is quite sad, the fact that the manufacturing the man had come out, to saying that about 767, manufacturers have left Nigeria in 2023, and some of the things that they have called as the result for their leaving is multiple taxation, the foreign exchange crisis, expatriate employment levies, and of course, crucially, the power issues. We hope that we see changes in the coming weeks and in the coming days. And this is where we say bye-bye on the show. Well, thank you for listening. Next week is yet another time. Do well to keep listening, because at top of the hour 10,